Welcome back to Milan Recording Studios. My name is James Pavel Shawcross, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a cover of a pop song, which isn't something I normally do, but it's something that I think I'm going to be doing a bit more in the future, especially if you guys like it. So let me know what you think of it down in the comment section below. But the piece I'm going to be covering today is Shake It Off by Taylor Swift, and I'm going to be making a few changes to the original record. The first one being that I'm going to be adding in a piano sound with the MP11SE that was loaned to me by Benjamin Kim from Kim's Pianos in Stanton, California. I'm also going to be doing some drums. I'm going to be performing on my drum set, which I think is the first time I've ever played it at Milan Recording Studios in a video for YouTube. I'm also going to be doing the melody on the Hammond B3, and that's going to be kind of cool. And I'm also going to be following the melody along with the Vox Continental. Those two organs will be playing the melody together, and as you can see, the Fender Rhodes piano bass will be in there as well. So those are all the instruments that are going to be in it. I've made a few changes. I've added in a solo. I added some jazz chords on the piano. I hope you guys like it. So let's have a listen to how it sounds. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that performance there of Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. I think it came out kind of neat. It's a really different twist on the song. It has a much different sound and a much different timbre than the original piece did. And I think probably my favorite part about it was how well those two organs combined together. There were a couple points that you probably heard where they actually played different notes at different times. They didn't always mirror each other exactly at the same time, but since they both played notes that were in the right key, it worked, and so I left it in the piece. I think it sounded kind of neat. So hopefully you guys enjoyed hearing that. So I figured I'd talk a little bit about what I did with the piece musically and why I did what I did. So one of the first things that I did when I was figuring out the piece and learning it was messing around with the chords. One of the first places that I start off with when learning a piece is either the melody or the chord progression. So once I figured out what the basic melody was, then I turned to the chord progression. And in the original piece, there aren't like exactly chords. You don't hear like a guitar playing chords or a piano playing chords. There's a lot of synths and what also sounds like brass instruments in there, and they're playing the chords, but it's not quite the same as just when a piano plays a chord. So what I decided to do was add in some nice jazzy piano chords. The original chords, the first one is A minor, the second one is C major, and then the third one is G major. So what I did was I made it an A minor 9, a C major 9, and then also just a G major 7. And the first one I did in third inversion, and then the second one I did in second inversion. So that continues throughout the whole piece. I think it sounded very nice. I tried doing both normal triads and jazz chords. I liked the jazz chords a little bit more. They sounded kind of bell-like. Every now and then you can hear the higher notes there kind of ringing out over the mix, and it sounds kind of neat. And also, like I said, I added in that little rhythm with the reed electric piano sound, like a Wurlitzer 200 that comes on the MP11SE. I didn't film myself playing that, but I did have that in there, and if you listen to it, you can hear kind of a rhythmic, like honking kind of a sound down here in the bass. It's kind of cool. So that's something else that I put in there. That was something that was in the original piece, and I could just kind of imitate it pretty closely. In the original, I believe it was a saxophone. The Wurlitzer has a sort of similar sound, kind of, not really, but I decided to put that in there anyway. So then when it came to the melody line, I simply just learned it by ear and played it on the organs. But what I did do was I added in a little solo. When I was playing the melody line, if I played it exactly the way she sang it, I think it might have been a little bit kind of flat sounding and boring. So I added in a lot of like accidentals and extra notes in there, particularly like the blue note, the flat 3, and there are a few others that I threw in there as well, just to make it a little bit more interesting. If you listen to it, you can hear it, and if you watch me play, you can see that I'm really sliding my hand off the black keys, especially on the second there, on the G, also on B, and then I think also on E. I slide my finger off the black note and play it for a fraction of a second, like a little grace note, before those melody notes a lot. So when it came time to write the solo, I decided to really make parts of it bluesy, and so I had that really nice little blues lick that I came up with. I personally liked it. I think it sounded kind of cool. So I really made part of that solo bluesy, and I think it came out kind of neat. The rest of the piece was pretty straightforward. One thing that I did really enjoy, like I said at the beginning, was layering up those two organs. I found it really amazing how well they actually paired together. It's something that I wanted to do for a while because the Vox has a really high-pitched, thin, reedy sound, and the B3 has a more kind of a fat, warm sound, and it doesn't project quite as well as the Vox does. The B3 is amazing, and I love it, but there's certain qualities that the Vox has that the B3 doesn't quite have, at least not in the same way. The B3 has a slightly muddier sound to it, and the Vox has a more clean electronic sound. So what I decided to do was layer them and get the best of both worlds, get the warm, muddy Hammond sound and get the clean, electronic, piercing Vox sound. So I layered them up together, and I think it worked pretty well. I didn't do chords on the Vox, except at the very end where I played like 2 octaves, but I didn't play chords. I only played the melody on it, and I think it came out really cool. And then, of course, I also had the piano bass going underneath of all of that. The Vox and the piano bass is a combination that the band The Doors used all the time. They made it very famous, and I'm going to be using that same exact combination of instruments in a lot of my pieces because it's a combination that works really well. The piano bass is a very pure sounding instrument. It's got this really low, pure, deep tone that really just works good for most anything. Unless you already have a bass guitar or something in there, then you wouldn't need the piano bass. But the piano bass works well. It's really easy to play a bass line on it and do a melody on the Vox. You just kind of do it like you would an organ, except with your left hand on top instead of your right hand on top. So that works out pretty well. and I think that overall the song came out pretty neat. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. Let me know what you thought in the comments of this video if you liked it, and let me know what part you really liked of the piece. And also if you have any song suggestions, whether they're old songs from the 60s or more recent songs from the 80s or 90s, or even more recent songs from the 2000s and the late 2010s, let me know if you have any song suggestions at all. Even if it's classical music, let me know. If you want me to play any songs as covers or in my videos of piano reviews, let me know if you have any music you'd like me to perform and do covers of, and I will see what I can do. I probably won't be able to do all the requests that you guys do, but I will definitely keep them all in mind when I'm looking for a new song to cover. So if you think that sounds cool, you might want to go ahead and do that. And if you haven't seen my channel already, you might want to go check that out too. I've got lots of cool videos of pianos, organs, keyboards, and all kinds of cool musical instruments. And I have done a few covers in the past as well. So if you enjoy covers, you might want to go hunt those down and see those for yourself. If you do all that, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.